Hey, Prodigious Trip here. I review anything and everything. And today I want to talk about the newest Transformers movie, Rise of the Beasts. Now, just to do a little backstory here on some of this stuff, I grew up with Transformers. I grew up watching this show. My favorite show was actually Beast Wars. That was the Transformers show after the original 1980s Transformers like cartoon show and stuff, and even they had a cartoon movie that came out back in the 80s as well. That was the one that actually had Unicron in it, and of course this movie has, well, spoiler alert, I'm going to talk about it. Unicron's in this movie too, so I thought maybe they're going to kind of go with what happened in that movie maybe and remake it for no. It's I love the original show. Always did. Again, for every guy out there, I think it's just like, oh yeah, a toy car that transforms into a robot. Cool. Like, everybody loved Voltron and the Power Rangers with their Megazords and stuff. So, I mean, transforming robots was nothing new. And so then in Beast Wars, it was a continuation of the show, but with different characters and a different story. You had the Maximals, which were the descendants of the Autobots. They really don't talk about it too much in this movie. That's why I kind of wanted to do a little more backstory of, like, hey, if you don't know what's going on, or if you didn't grow up with the show like I did, like, you have no idea what Beast Wars was or what their whole mission was or some of these characters and stuff. And, well, Beast Wars, again, it takes place, like, I think, like 100 years in the future or hundreds of years in the future, whatever. Again, they're descendants of the Autobots. So the Maximals are now in a new whatever universe they're living in, blah, blah, blah. They decide that they want to try to travel the universe and find new life. They're explorers. And they end up going through like a time rift or some kind of, like, whatever. They end up back on ancient Earth. And so they have to find, there's no vehicles or anything around to hide in. So for them, they hide in animal forms. And so you had Optimus Primal, who was, a gorilla. Then you had Cheetor, a cheetah, Rhinox, which was a rhino. So, I mean, the formula was, the same as the original show. They could always transform into something that was something they could hide in, so there'd be more than meets the eye. But, okay. So, 2007, the original Transformers movie came out, and I think every guy was just like, as soon as you saw that trailer, you were just like, yep, I'll be right back, go change my pants, kind of deal. And so it was just like, oh man, like, I loved that movie. I actually saw it 9 times in theaters that summer. And I think the 9 times I saw it was actually like within like a 2-week period. Because I saw it the midnight it came out. And then that afternoon, a friend of mine was like, dude, we got to go see the movie. Come on, I'll buy you a ticket. I'm like, sure, why not? I'm not doing anything. And then later that night, my parents were like, hey, we're going to go see that new robot movie thing. You want to come with us? And I'm like, yeah. So they bought me a ticket, and I went and saw it. Like, so I saw it 3 times, like, the day it came out. And then, like, I had other friends that hadn't seen it yet. They're like, dude, you want to go see it? I'm like, sure. So I have, tons of friends, so I didn't go see it by myself or anything like that. It was just, like, the opportunities came up, and I'm like, yeah, I'll go see it. So, loved the movie, loved the characters. I know a lot of people, they diss on Michael Bay because of some of the things he does, of the way, like, like Megan Fox and things like that of the movie. Shia LaBeouf, I didn't have a problem with him. I really didn't. He's a good actor. I actually did like, again, his earlier stuff was, like, one of the things that I liked most about him. I think he started off on Disney, and, like, Even Stevens, I think was the first show he did. Or maybe that was the first thing, I don't know. But that's what I remember him from when I was younger. I was like, this show was hilarious. And so as he got older, he was like, he's in the movie. I'm like, hey, I really didn't have a problem with him. I know that a lot of people do have a problem with, as the Transformers movies go on, I do have a problem with just even rewatching them. I was like, I try to always look at the good in some of these movies, but some of them I'm just like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. The second movie I actually liked more than all of them. And I know everyone's just like, that's the one that got like the worst reviews, the worst ever. I think to me, that was the one that actually had the most robot stuff in it. I really hate it when it's just like, I want to see robots and not, little humans running around like, oh, I got the MacGuffin and we got to save it. I'm like, I don't care about your glasses. That was another thing. Just certain items they had to find. It was just like, they had to find the cube, the glasses, the Allspark, the Matrix, the leadership key, the whatever. I'm just like, okay, just give me robots fighting each other. That's pretty much all we want. So I'm not going to talk about some of the other movies. I could really care less about some of them. Each movie I know that Michael Bay did, he had to sexualize some girl. Megan Fox was the first couple of movies, and then I don't even know what the chick was in the third one. I guess she was a Maxim model or something. It was just like, I could really care less. I want to watch a movie about robots transforming. I don't care less about some hot chick or whatever. I'll watch a different movie or something. I'm just like, give me my robots. And so with this one, there's a lot of things that were very different from some of the other movies. And up until now, there were 6 movies, or no, 5 movies, 6 movies. I think there's 6 movies. But I think the 5th movie was called The Last Night, and it had Mark Wahlberg. And the ending of that movie, like I said, I can really care less about the movie itself or whatever, but the ending of that movie had Unicron coming up out of the planet Earth. So I'm like, I think that was one of the storylines from like one of the shows. Like, I don't know. There's a couple of other Transformers shows that are out there. You can probably watch them on Netflix. I think somebody told me that, like, oh yeah, that's how Unicron was always hiding on Earth the whole time and blah, blah, blah. Like, it reminds me of the Eternals plot where there's a kind of, extraterrestrial or what, an Eternal or something, or a Celestial that's living in the planet and it's coming out and you see its hand just like coming out. It's like somehow one of the people froze it. And so now there's like this just giant that's coming out of the planet, but it's frozen or dead or whatever. And I'm just like, okay, I don't know. I'm not into those kind of plots or whatever, where the planet's at stake, something or whatever. But Unicron was always a cool kind of Transformer thing. And again, all these guys were made up just to make toys. I get it. I mean, I'm not like, oh yeah, but you got to stick to that story. That's my, this story plot for this movie was just kind of all over the place. And again, the Maximals, introducing them to the story. The reason why I'm trying to give you the backstory of Beast Wars is because they don't tell you anything about this in this movie. They kind of hint at it that Airazor says, I am your future and your past. And I'm like, no one's going to understand that. You got to kind of explain more. And I think they try to, but I'm just like, if you've never seen the show or know anything about Transformers, you're probably going to be lost. So that's why I wanted to kind of do this thing and kind of give you my 2 cents of what's going on. Again, the movie starts off with, it was a really cool start off. It shows Unicron. Again, he's about to eat a planet. And again, they did Unicron just great. I'm so glad they did it like the way that they did, because the way he looked in the original movie, the way that they made him look in this one was almost identical. And again, they had the core of him. I can't even explain it. But, I mean, they did it well. That was one of the things I did like about this movie, was because I was like, oh, they did Unicron good. But the only thing bad I'm going to say right now is you don't see him transform. You just see him in his, I guess, planet form, whatever. And I'm like, oh, because, again, his transformation, again, is amazing because he's the size of a planet. So just to see him transform would be really awesome. They didn't do that in this movie. It starts off with him eating this planet that has the Maximals on it. And I had to actually like use the caption because there's another like Optimus Primal or whatever. There's another monkey transformer or whatever running around. And I'm like, that's Optimus? No, that's not him. That's a different one. I don't know if they were brothers or if they were father, son, something or whatever. But Optimus Primal calls the other monkey calls him Ape Link. Like, again, I had to use the caption just to see what this was. This is Ape Link. And I'm like, I'm not even going to bother trying to look it up to see who he is, because I'm just like, if you're just going to kill him off in the first 5 minutes of the movie, whatever. I'm like, so Ape Link tries to stop Scourge, who is like, I was like, oh, cool, they're going to have a Unicron, and he's going to turn Megatron into, like, his, Galvatron, the bad guy or whatever. But no, they already killed off Megatron and all that other stuff in the other movies. But they're not, like, continuing those storylines in this movie, because Unicron is now in space, in the past, or in a distant future, whatever he is. So I have no idea. They're not going to connect any of these movies. They do mention that Bumblebee met a girl and she was nice to him. So I'm thinking that was from the Bumblebee movie. So technically, maybe these two movies do connect to each other. And the movie takes place in 1994. Last movie was in the 80s. So I guess this is, I don't know why they're doing that. So I was like, okay, let's just see these Beast Wars characters. So you got to see Optimus, and Optimus Primal. You got to see Airazor, Rhinox, Cheetor, and Ape Link. So they fight Scourge, who is, I guess he's Unicron's henchman or whatever. So I'm like, I don't think he names the other two characters. Like, I think they say, hey, she's Nightbird. I could be wrong. Nightbird, Night Dark, something. And I'm like, never heard of some of these characters. And I'm just like, unless they were made just, again, there was a toy line made with so many different characters that they didn't even put in the show. They didn't put in the cartoon or anything like that. So it's possible that it's one of those characters from the toy line, which I don't care. I mean, it's whatever. But, for the most part, you try to want to have characters that people remember and know from before. So like, hey, I love that character, So when I saw some of these characters, like, from Beast Wars, I was like, yes, I love Cheetor, Rhinox. But they didn't have any of the Predacons. And I'm like, the Maximals, the whole point of it was that they fought the descendants of the Decepticons, which was the Predacons. And their leader was Megatron. Yes, I have the toy Megatron. He transforms into, yes, a T-Rex. I'm not going to do it right now. But I love this guy. And I loved his character because he was the best Megatron, in my opinion, in Beast Wars. And I was like, okay, if they're going to do this, then they're going to, they're going to do it right. They're going to have the Maximals fighting the Predacons. And no. It starts off with just the Maximals. It doesn't even say what planet they're on. It almost looks like Earth, but Unicron's eating it up. Scourge comes to get what's called the Transwarp Key. And I'm like, oh. So it's the MacGuffin for this movie. And I'm like, just adding the word transwarp to something makes it so spacey and everything. I think they did that in the cartoon show, or in Beast Wars. That was their transwarp drive, is what allowed them to either travel through time, travel through space, whatever. It's just in this movie, I'm just like, it looks like this little orange stick. And, it starts off with, them like, we got to keep this key away from Unicron, because then he can travel through time and space. So Ape Link tries to stop Scourge, while Optimus Primal and his team escape using the transwarp drive. So they escape and they travel through a portal and they go to Earth, or ancient Earth, I guess, just like in the show. So I'm like, oh, this is going to be awesome. They're going to, maybe connect some of these things, or, fight the Predacons and stuff. No, the word Predacon doesn't even show up in this movie, and it doesn't even, they don't talk about it at all. They do talk about the Terracons, which, if you don't know what a Terracon is, don't worry. It's whatever the bad guys that are working for Unicron. That's what they're called, is Terracons. I guess you got to add that ons to something in order to make it sound Transformery. So, so now you have only 4 Beast Wars or 4 Beast or Maximals are on Earth, and I guess they've been here for hundreds or whatever years. They talk about it because they went, back in time or something so that they could escape Unicron. And Unicron sends Scourge out into the universe to try to find the MacGuffin. So then it does the normal movie thing where it's like, oh, we gotta find a human, and we gotta focus on him. Not on the robots, but on him. And, sometimes it works with the characters coming together and fighting, but it's just nobody really cares about the the human or the people part of the movie. So you have your main character guy. His name is Noah something, Noah Diaz, I think. His little brother calls him Sonic, so I'm just going to call him Sonic throughout the rest of the review. So his little brother, he calls him Tails. I guess he's dying of something, insert whatever disease, So it's just like, oh no, I gotta feel sorry for this kid. I'm like, I don't care. So he's down on his luck. And again, this is 1994, so you hear hip-hop music in the background, which is fun. I like that. I thought that was cool that they actually used music from that time period. And so he's trying to steal a car so that he can get the money for it or whatever. Turns out it's a Transformer. It's Mirage. That's the name of the character, voiced by Pete Davidson. And I have to admit, I did like his character. I do like that. I did like his character for Mirage was actually pretty good. One of the reasons I don't like a lot of the other movies of the Transformers is because they didn't give the robots personality. I love the fact that they got Peter Cullen to do Optimus Prime again. That's a great thing because he's always been his voice is just awesome. But other than that, sometimes you don't have that charisma or that inflection in your voice to really just make a character come to life or to make you want to like him. And I like the way that they always do Bumblebee with just like, oh, he has no voice. It's just, he talks through the radio. So I was like, cool, that's fine. I don't mind. Everybody loves Bumblebee just mainly because of that too. So, but Pete Davidson did a good job for this. I always, I do like Pete. Saturday Night Live was great for him. And I really haven't seen any of his movies he's been in. I think I've seen some of his stand-ups. But for the most part, I really haven't seen a whole lot of stuff that he's been in besides that. So I was just like, this wasn't too bad. So while the kid's trying to steal this car that turns out to be Mirage, there's I don't know what to even call this place. They review, or not review, but they find ancient artifacts. They clean them and study them. And you find, I didn't even know her name until like halfway through the movie. Until she actually said like, what's your name? It's like, I'm Elena. She's an assistant to somebody, but she's really good at like looking up hieroglyphics, stuff like that or whatever. A really boring character, actually, in my opinion, but she does become useful in the movie, so it's not too bad. But she uncovers this bird that has the Predacon, not Predacon, but it has a Maximal symbol on it, and she ends up actually breaking this little statue, but it turns out it has part of the key in it, the MacGuffin. That's what I'm just going to call it, because I care, a transwarp drive, whatever. I'm just like, it's a stupid name. So she finds out it's got half of the MacGuffin in it, and Optimus Prime sees it. Oh no, there's a beam of light that shoots into the sky, just like in every movie. So Optimus is like, all right, calling all Autobots, which is only like 4 of them. So they find all 4 Autobots, which is RC, which everyone wanted to see because she was a fan favorite of the original show. So they had RC, Mirage, Bumblebee, and Optimus Prime. They're the only ones, I guess, either in this area or on Earth. No, because there's a bus in Peru that shows up later in the movie, as well as a plane guy. So I guess there's other Autobots around, whatever. So they see that this transwarp drive thingy is activated or is out there. So they want to find it before, obviously, anybody else does. Optimus says it could take him home. So somehow they got to Earth and crash landed on Earth. They never say anything about that at all. Like, hey, we're on Earth, but hey, this MacGuffin thing can get us to home, so we got to get it. So Mirage is like, well, hey, why don't we use this little kid here that I just met, and he can sneak in and get it for us real quick, so we don't have to. I'm like, you guys could just break through the wall, take the key, and go, and you don't have to hurt anybody. But you're a giant robot, you can do that and do whatever you want. But no, let's use a human to sneak in and waste time. I'm like, okay, even Optimus was just like, I don't want to use a human. Like, so the Terracons show up to Earth because Scourge is like, hey, I know, I can see that key too. It's got this giant beam of light in the sky, but no, nobody else can see it except robots. And So Elena and Sonic, they try to escape because the Terracons find them first. But here, let me backtrack a little bit. In order to get into the place, the kid or Sonic says, you can't look like this car. You have to look like something else. And so he looks like a dump truck. So he can change his appearance. His name is Mirage, so I automatically assumed maybe, oh, cool, he can make it look like he's a dump truck, but he's not really a dump truck. But he showed the kid earlier, like, hey, I could transform into a Lamborghini, I could transform into this. So I'm like, okay, later on in the movie, they have to fly to wherever. But if the Autobots can just pick their vehicle or change their appearance, again, in the show, once they got to Earth, they could pick certain things to be, and that was it. They couldn't keep on changing them every time they wanted to. So in the first movie, they showed like Bumblebee transforming from one Camaro into a different one, which I mean, if it's an upgrade, I get it. But at the same time, it's like, it doesn't seem like it's a, if you can change your vehicle, like, hey, let's change it to a jet for now, fly over here. Let's change into a boat and go over the water. But no, they don't really talk about that. So, again, I thought it was Mirage that he could just make it look like he is. He's not really, he's just projecting like an image or something to look like the dump truck or whatever. And the same goes for the Terracon. One of the, I don't know if her name was Nightbird or Night Dog, something or whatever. She was flying around the first time. You never really see them transform either. I was like very disappointed in this too. Like the Terracons didn't transform until like, in the middle of the movie or something, or, you got your basic just like, oh, you get to see Optimus transform. And it was just like, yeah, it's always cool to see that. But at the same time, like the whole point of the movie is Transformers. So you want to see more robots transforming and stuff. And, but with this Nightbird chick, she could fly already. So I don't know if her vehicle form was just supposed to be a car, because she does transform later on in the movie and you see that her vehicle is a car. But I think the Terracons had different powers because of Unicron. So they could transform into whatever they wanted to, whenever they wanted to. Or if they looked at it or something or whatever. But I think the Autobots just had a straight, like, once you got to Earth, if this was your vehicle, you're stuck like this now. You can't, be a plane later or be a boat later. You are car. I think that's how it works, but Mirage was trying to show that he can become a different kind of car or something, or I don't know. But being a dump truck was just kind of like it looked like it was just an actual like truck, so it didn't look like he was projecting any kind of image. So I don't know what his specific skill was, if he could do that. But for the most part, they don't even talk about it. And that's the reason I'm trying to bring it up, because I'm like, in the context of your movie's universe and their laws of their, physics, I just want to try to understand what's going on. I don't ask you, in Harry Potter movies, I don't ask why their wands can think and choose their person. I don't try to question it. I just accept it because it's like, hey, that's the world of Harry Potter. So in this world of Transformers, I'm just assuming, they have a set of rules that they have to abide by, or at least, like, oh yeah, we can only become these kind of vehicles because that's what we are. Optimus Prime is always just a semi-truck. So I'm assuming he can't transform into a jet or whatever if he just wanted to. So those, again, I know I'm nitpicking, but if you've ever watched the show, if you've ever just been a big fan of it, again, they don't answer some of these questions. And so that's why I'm trying to point it out to see if anybody else understands what they can do, like put it in the comments below or something or whatever. But I'm just like, it just doesn't make sense for certain things. So anywho, there's this battle between the Terracons and the Autobots. They're fighting. Yeah, we got to get the key. So they end up getting the key. They kill Bumblebee. And I'm just like, already? Like, this is kind of like in the second movie where it's like, hey, it's like the first half of the movie and let's kill off Optimus Prime. You don't kill off the favorite character already. So I was like, so you had Mirage basically as the Bumblebee throughout the whole movie anyway, because he's, the comic relief and the side character stuff too. So yeah, so Bumblebee's dead. So then they end up going to Peru because Elena can read she can read the hieroglyphics or the symbols and say like, hey, I think I know where the other half of the key is. It's got to be in wherever, name part of the earth, Peru. So they go there, and the Terracons again show up, fight the Autobots for a little bit. Autobots, I guess, get their butts kicked or, stuff like that. They end up meeting with the Maximals finally. They give a little backstory of just like, again, not enough to make you want to understand what's going on with this whole Transformers universe. They just say, hey, we've been here for hundreds of years, and we're here to protect the key, blah, 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 And again, it's just Optimus Primal, Cheetor, Rhinox, and Airazor. They're the only 4 that are mentioned. And I'm like, I really wish they had like Dinobot or Rat Trap. Those are some, I love those characters from the show. Even the Predacons, man, there were so many Predacons that were just actually like, just interesting, even if they were stupid, like Inferno, he was an ant. And he always referred to Megatron as, yes, my queen, I'll do what you say. His loyalty was, always to Megatron, but it was just so funny that he would always call him his queen. Yes, my queen. So I was like, oh, you gotta have some of those characters, and they don't have that, like, some of these movies are missing those, just memorable characters. And like I said, I was glad that they had at least, Mirage was very good with this one. So Airazor ends up getting like hurt or infected by Scourge. And I'm just like, why didn't Scourge try to do this to some of the other, guys? Like, because I guess he takes over you and then he can see through your eyes, whatever. So they end up finding the Maximals and end up giving a key to this tribe of humans. And they've been watching it for like hundreds of years. So they finally get the key back, but Airazor's infected, and so you can see her like twitching and stuff, and I guess like a virus kind of thing taking over her, and she ends up kidnapping Elena, trying to get the key to Scourge, and in the midst of the fight, Optimus Primal grabs her, and he's holding her, and I'm like, oh, he's gonna snap her neck, or he's gonna like squeeze her and head's going to pop off, or he's going to squeeze her, and you can see, like, you hear, like, this nice little crunch sound, like if you're holding a can, you just go, yeah, you can hear that sound. No. He just, like, hugs her until she passes out and dies. And I'm like, what? Very just, like, anticlimactic. I'm like, come on. Like, she goes, just do it. You need to do it for the greater good, and blah, blah, blah. He's like, oh, okay, goodbye, Airazor. And poof. Like, no sound or nothing. I'm sorry, I don't want to say poof. It was just like, and then she just like shuts down, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what'd you do? Did you hit the off switch or something? Because that's what happened. Like, is she dead? They start crying, so I'm assuming she's dead. And then I'm just like, all right, well, she's dead. Bumblebee's dead. All right, let's move on. All right, next, let's see who else we can do here. And Scourge ends up taking this key to this random location. Again, he doesn't say anything, doesn't do anything. He's just like, Master Unicron, you shall live. And then all of a sudden, this castle appears out of the ground. A bridge appears. All this, like, robotic stuff or whatever. And I'm like, was that there the whole time? And only the key activated it? Or did the key activate something that created all this stuff? Because, again, it's not explained. It's just like, hey, here's the key. Let me put it here. And all of a sudden, there's a bridge. There's lava. There's a giant castle. And I'm like, he made a wish from a lamp. No. I was just... So, the key could do that, I guess. I don't know. And again, shoots a beam into the sky. Unicron's trying to, open it up so he can stick his head in and eat the earth. And, oh my goodness. So... Optimus and all the other people, they're like, all right, we got one chance. Let's see if we can stop him. Elena has like a code that can just deactivate it because she wrote stuff down. Yeah. So that's their plan. And I guess there's like little hidden chambers, or there's like a tunnel underneath this bridge that only humans can fit in. So Sonic and Elena go under there, and they're trying to, stop the MacGuffin from shooting up into space. And then, of course, they have to have oh no, but if you destroy the key, it'll blow up. So you have to be careful and not do that. So I'm just like, this movie's about like 2 hours long. And I'm just like sitting here just like, Bumblebee's dead, okay. Oh no, Airazor's dead. Oh, I'm starting to die, okay. It just really, I'm just like, so the last half hour of this movie, however, like, I'm looking at it, it's like an hour and a half long. Or I look at the thing too, like I was actually looking at the time, I'm like, it's an hour and a half. Please tell me something good's gonna happen. And I have to admit, the last half hour of this movie is just, wow. Like, I took my son to see this, and we're just like, that was cool. Okay, that was cool. Ooh, that was cool. So, like, it picks up, but it did take a while for it to pick up. And again, last half hour of the movie, and only then does the Maximals, just the Maximals, throughout the entire movie are in their, I want to say beast mode. Like, they don't transform or anything. And in the show, they had to say maximize. That was like their transformation code activation word or whatever. And so I was like, Optimus Prime and all the other ones, they can just transform at will or whatever. And they're running as robots. And I'm like, here's Optimus and Cheetor, just running like animals. And all of a sudden, Optimus says, finally, all right, Rhinox, Cheetor, maximize. And I'm like, all right. Like, that was it. Check my watch. Okay, so it took you an hour and a half to say maximize, and you can transform. Okay. And then, like, halfway through the battle, he actually goes back into his beast form, Optimus Primal. I'm just like, why is he in monkey form again? I'm just like, it just... And so you finally get to see Cheetor and Rhinox fighting. Like, again, doesn't explain how it works, but just from this castle, like, bad robots start just coming out of the castle wall and attacking the Autobots. So I'm just like... So the castle was it here the whole time? Was it just invisible the whole time? Were there just robots in the walls the whole time? Or did this key activate something in the universe? Or was it on Earth? Never explained. It's just like, this key does this. Poof, here's the stuff. And now we can fight now we can fight the robots and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay. So, again, the great fight scenes, I was just really impressed, again, because most of the stuff, again, in previous Transformer movies, they have, like, these big fight scenes at the end, but it's always, again, like, oh, no, we have to have the army helping us. So let's get some humans in here and have them fight and stuff, like, have the army guys fight all the robots. Not in this one. Like, you only had Elena and Sonic, and they were actually, like, again, I was more surprised. They actually helped and actually did stuff in this movie. Elena, she actually was able to crawl underneath. Yeah, this is Elena, and this is Sonic. So, if you guys don't know who these guys are, it's okay. I'm going to put it away for now. We're good. It's okay. So, Elena was able to crawl underneath. She fought off one of the little robots. She was able to type in the code and figure it out how to work it. And while she's doing that, Mirage is trying to fight Scourge. And he ends up like, I don't know if he died or not. Maybe he did. And all of a sudden, like, he's trying to protect Sonic. He's bent over and, Scourge is just shooting at him. And he goes, hey, buddy, I'm sorry. You're going to have to take over. He goes, what? What do you mean take over? And then all of a sudden, again, I don't know how this works. Like, if the Transformers can just, like, have pieces of them fall off and go onto a human and be like armor, like a power suit or something. So he went from, like, all right, hey, here, you'll be okay. Use this armor. All right, yeah, man. And then he became, again, I don't have those characters, so I'm just using whatever I have. Like, so now Sonic has this armor, and he's shooting at Scourge, and he teams up with Optimus, and they're fighting him. Again, it did look really cool. I was really surprised. But again, I'm just like, could you have done that the whole time? Like, just have pieces of you come off and jump onto a human and have him work it whatever. So, Elena, she tries to deactivate the thing. It doesn't work. Someone blows up the console. And once that happens, it sends like a power surge throughout the whole valley. And Energon that's been in the valley, they talk about it as like, hey, there's raw Energon here, but they need a superpower to activate it. And if they did, they can probably bring people back to, or bring some dead Autobots back to life. So again, I'm still like just doing this one, like, oh, cool. So all of a sudden, boom, Bumblebee's back to life. And I'm like, I literally forgot that he died in this movie. Like, I'm just like, oh yeah, that's right, Bumblebee died. And somehow he came back. And so he helps fight the bad guys, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, so maybe they'll resurrect, what's her face? Airazor. No? Just gonna save Bumblebee? We're not gonna save the girl bird? No? Yeah, sorry, stupid birds. So, so they end up destroying the key, and it stops what's his face from coming to Earth. Everyone escapes fine, and I'm just like, you know, it was a good ending, and you know, Optimus does his little thing where he's just like, well, I'm glad that we're here to protect the Earth, and we're glad that we teamed up with humans. They're not so bad, and blah, blah, blah. And the movie has like two endings. One, it shows, what's his face? Sonic, he's rebuilding a car, I guess, to put Mirage back together. So that's how it ends, with Mirage coming back. He's like, yeah, hey, you know, it's a different car and everything, but he doesn't care because he's, you know, he was able to bring him back somehow, you know, science magic, whatever. And then there's a second ending to this movie. Again, if you don't want to know it, just turn the video off here. They try to do, I guess they're going to try to do a cinematic universe with other Hasbro properties. And one of the, obviously the biggest one they have is G.I. Joe. And at first I was like, you know, the Sonic guy, he comes down, he's looking for a security job. So the guy's talking to him and everything, and he goes, hey, you know, you saved the world, so we just wanted to say thank you, but you should really team up with us and work with us and stuff. And so then he opens up like a secret panel behind the door and goes into like this big secret room, and I'm like, oh great, it's going to be the Sector 7 crap from the first movie, which, don't get me started on the Sector 7 guys and all that other stuff, but I was just like, oh man, you really going to bring this back? And sure enough, he looks down at his card, he turns it over, and it says G.I. Joe, and I'm like, okay, that I didn't see coming. So if they're going to make a cinematic universe where it shows G.I. Joe with Transformers, that'd probably be cool, I guess. But they've already tried doing G.I. Joe, and I might have to do a video on that just to talk about G.I. Joe. But this Transformers movie, I know I nitpicked a lot about it and said a lot of things that just were... Again, you know, I love Transformers, so that's why I'm very picky about it. But there's a lot of stuff. Let me just talk about the good stuff about this movie. I know a lot of people always hate like CGI in movies and stuff like that, but when it comes to movies like this, where it has to be done, like you have to have CGI for a car to look like a robot. And when they do that, they do it really, really well. I have not watched a Transformers movie where I was just like, man, the CGI sucks. You know, I can see like the outlines of whatever. No, they do. I mean, again, it's obviously big budget stuff. So, I mean, they make it look as real as can be and stuff. And so I'm like, I've never had a problem with the way that they made it look. Because again, every time Optimus Prime transforms, I'm just like, go change my pants real quick. And just like, it looks amazing. Just little pieces just transform. I'm like, my gosh, that is so awesome. Like, I can't believe how they can do some of that. And let's see. Again, they're going past more of just the Autobots fighting Decepticons. So that's what I did like about this movie too. They brought in other bad guys, Terracons. They brought in Unicron. Oh my gosh, I've been waiting for Unicron for so long. And like when they showed him coming out of the one movie, I was just like, wait, that's it? So they're going to, I guess the next movie will be him destroying the Earth and then go and eating other planets and stuff or whatever. But now it's just, yeah, they're not going to continue that, which is fine. I really didn't want to see where that was going anyway. But I did love Unicron and how he was made, and so he wasn't destroyed or anything too. He was just cut off from eating Earth. So I don't know where he is in the universe, but if he does show up again in the future, that'd be perfect. I'd love to see more Unicron. The actors in this movie, I did not have a problem with. I know a lot of people did like Mark Wahlberg, his character, over Shia LaBeouf's character in the other movies and stuff. And I'm just like, again, I really could care less about what goes on with the people characters. Like, they try to get you to, care more about this Sonic guy. His brother has like some kind of, whatever, disease. We just want to see the robots. We just want to see the robots. And if they're going to start with the Maximals and stuff like that, and they talk about them, maybe they'll bring in the Predacons later. And hopefully, bring back Megatron, because it's not the same Megatron from Beast Wars either that was in the other movies. They're like, this guy, he took the mantle of Megatron hundreds of years in the future, so that's where he gets his name from. But if they introduce those guys, that would be great too. I love that. Again, they did, like I said, the last half hour of this movie was just action-packed, and that's kind of what you want to see. Just, let's have more of that and less of the, let's go find the MacGuffin. It's in Peru, it's in Italy, it's in, let's Indiana Jones this thingy. Just give us the robots, and we'll be just fine. You know what? So, yeah, this movie actually was better than what I thought it was going to be. Again, a lot of stuff I didn't like, but for the most part, I'm going to say I like this movie. This was a very good Transformers movie. This was very good. It made me laugh. Oh my God. There's one scene, Mirage is talking to this little kid, Tails or whatever. And he goes, "Don't worry, I'll protect your brother, okay?" He's like we're like work partners. Or Sonic says that to Tails. He's like, "Yeah, Mirage, he's just a work friend or whatever." And Mirage looks at him and goes, "Work friend? You've been inside me." And of course, he just like leaves it like that, and just like I couldn't help but laugh because it was just so corny and so just like, really, you gonna? Anywho, so there was it did have a lot of funny moments. I did like this movie. So, but again, let's get some more Maximals. Let's actually have them transform more. Let's see them, do more, because they're still on Earth. So I mean, have them team up with the Autobots again or something, or at least explain more like, hey, we're from your future, but we had to go to the past and stay here to protect whatever, explain it a little bit better, because if you didn't, a lot of people aren't going to get it. So yeah, this is kind of a long review. I apologize, but again, I love Transformers. I wanted to get my thoughts out about it. So hopefully you enjoyed this review. If you have any comments about some of the stuff I talked about, or if you disagree with some of the things I said, just let me know in the comments below. Let me know, and we could talk about what it is that was wrong, or if you didn't like the movie. I completely understand why if you didn't like the movie. I know a lot of people don't like the Transformers movies anymore. But, I still have hope in that they can get better and stuff. So, yeah. So I'm Prodigious Trip. Talk to you later.